from Susan, who listens to the show on the app. She is down in Niceville, Florida. It's up there in the Panhandle, right there on the Gulf. And she sent me her Aurora Borealis photos. Because they had said at the time, a couple of weeks ago when everybody was seeing the northern lights, they said they'll be visible as far south as Florida. And I was thinking, there's no way people are going to see them in Florida. But they did. Sent me a bunch of photos. Pretty cool down there. Of course, because we here in Ohio are closer to Norway than Florida is, we got different colors. I think that's how that works. Mm-hmm. The colors, depending on how your proximity to Norway. I'm just pulling Norway at random. It could be anything up top there. I also heard from Juan, who listens in Colorado. And he goes, you were talking about that old woman who, not the old woman, his story is about an old woman, but I played you the clip yesterday. Joe Elliott, he's the longtime frontman for Def Leppard. He wanted to make a very specific statement. Hey, there's a lot of people out there trying to scam people out of their money by telling them that they're me. And it's not me. I don't need your money. I'm doing pretty well. I don't need your money.
Quite well for myself.
I'm doing quite well. It's not me. Don't give them. I know he's English, but he's got like a Scottish lilt to his voice or something. But he's like, I'm tired of people using me name.
Here's the deal, right? I am the real me, okay? Joe Elliott. Elliott is spelled with 2 T's, not one. And I'm not much to brag, but I don't need your money, okay? I would never, ever ask you for money. Please tell everybody you know I am not scamming anyone.
I'm not looking for your money. Anyway, Juan emailed me from Colorado, and he said, I have a couple of nurse friends who told me a story one time. A few years ago, there was a woman who was north of 60, older woman, who came into the hospital on a psych workup because she was going to, as the kids say, unalive herself. And they said when they kind of tried to get to the bottom of what was happening, they were asking her a series of questions to try to properly evaluate her. She had been in a social media relationship with Joe Elliott of Def Leppard for 2 years and didn't want her husband to find out. And so she was talking about committing suicide. She said she had been, now, mind you, this is a woman north of 60. She had been talking to Joe Elliott for 2 years, sending him nudes, sexting,
money?
Huh?
Money?
Sexting with him, sending him money.
There it is.
Yep. Now, Joe Elliott, he's a guy in his early 60s. How old is Joe Elliott? He's 64 years old. So the days of him getting, nudes from young nubile fans, that's long past. So I don't know what the protocol is for that. Again, she was sending him, I assume she meant nudes of herself, not just random nudes. That'd be fine. But she had been sexting with him for a couple of years. And then she said that Joe Elliott of Def Leppard tried to blackmail her into sending him $2,000. And if she...
Man, he's hard up. $2,000.
That's right. Yep. Hey, listen, he said it in his song. I don't want a photograph. I want to touch you. The fake Joe Elliott said that if she didn't send him the $2,000, he was going to plaster her nudes all over social media. And so she freaked out. She reported him to whatever social media site. She's north of 60. I'm going to hazard a guess and say Facebook. Didn't delete her account, but tried to get back at him. And that didn't work. And so then she was terrified that her husband, who she'd been married to for decades, was going to find out about all this. This is Juan just telling me the story that his nurse friends told him. And so she sets up a ruse to have her husband go to the grocery store because she goes, I want to make this huge dinner for you because I love you so much, just to get him out of the house. But once he leaves the house, she calls the suicide hotline. They call 911. The husband comes home. The house is surrounded by police. The ambulance takes her to the hospital. The husband has no idea what's going on. He waits 5 hours in the waiting room. She's in the room threatening the staff not to tell her husband about what's going on and that she doesn't want to actually kill herself. But she definitely doesn't want her husband to know that she's been sexting and sending nudes to Joe Elliott of Def Leppard for 2 years. So the doctors basically clear her and go, you got to get out of here. We need the beds in the room for people who need to be seen. There's other people out in the waiting room, and she's causing this huge ruckus. They had to call security to get her out of the room because she didn't want to go home with her husband because now she has a lot to explain. More than she normally would have, by the way. Now she's got to explain the whole hospital thing. So as timely as today's headlines, here's a woman out there in Colorado who was sending thousands of dollars, 60-plus age-wise, nudes. Wonder what that looks like. You know, there's a lot of people keeping themselves pretty tight. You know, when you would normally you'd think, oh, you're getting nudes from a woman who's, you know, over 60. Probably not going to make it move. But, you know, tough situation to be in.
I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, if I were in this situation, I'm the husband, right? Brian is sexting Rihanna and sending her thousands and thousands.
Oh, you're
of
not
dollars.
in this woman's position. He's in your.
I'm thinking like, I think I would be more mad
that he's so
that he thought Rihanna needed $2,000. Like, I think that would make me like, I'd be upset that you're essentially, you know, emotionally cheating and you're sending pictures of your naked self to another quote unquote woman. But like, I think I would be more mad that I'm like, dude, no offense, you're hot, I love you, but you think that Rihanna found you on Facebook and needs our $500 a week. That's what you think. Like, that would be the tipping point for me.
Well, and that's what I always think of is it's so sad that people are so desperately lonely. This is a woman who's been married like 45 years or whatever that math is. She's north of 60. She's been married to this guy forever. Doesn't want him to find out. But obviously she's missing something. She's lonely. And yeah, these people get taken in. Oh, no, it's me, Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. Because, yeah, he's famous. But maybe for her, there's a part of it that's believable. I don't know. Rihanna is such a megawatt superstar.
The guy from Def Leppard wasn't in her
her
day?
I guess to her, yeah, in her day, in 1985.
Well, 30 years from now, Rihanna's not going to be the megastar she is today. So if Brian gets, you know, when we're in our 60s, 30
old
years
Rihanna.
from now, yeah.
Oh, I see.
That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Hey, remember me, Rihanna.
Mm-hmm.
I need your money and your nudes.
Right.
It's probably less likely that, if you're going that direction, probably less likely that a female would ask for nudes.
You got to sell it.
I guess.
Yeah, you're getting it for the blackmail purposes.
Right.
Because then you got to go, well, I'm going to release those nudes unless you give me $2,000 or $500 a week. I mean, this happens to guys all the time. It's just not by famous people. It's just by scammers. And
I feel like this happens more to women. I feel like every story we hear about this, it's like an older woman.
Yeah.
Like a lady in her 50s or 60s.
Well, guys just get scammed all the time. I think it happens so frequently with guys getting scammed that they're like, it's not even a story.
Yeah,
because there's so many guys that are, you know, on those dating sites where they're dating somebody abroad and they have to pay to chat with them. And even if the women are who they say they are, they're still not actually in love with them or anything like that. Does that count as a scam?
I don't know. Because there was that chick I'm thinking of 90 Day Fiancé. That one guy who had the girlfriend in like Brazil or something, and he kept like for 5 years, plans kept falling through, or she'd get stuck at the airport or whatever. But they like had her on Zoom, and she was like, "Yes, I am in love with him, and we do have a great relationship. It just hasn't worked out for 5 years." And I'm like, I want to say yes, that's a scam because if you really do love someone, you'll make it happen.
But when these people are sending nudes, they're including their face.
Maybe they're requesting that.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it wouldn't be that hard to go, that's not me. I'm going to put these all over the internet. That's not me.
These
Joke's
are also
on
people
you.
that, you know, they think they're talking to a famous person. So saying like, "Oh, I'll release your nudes," they're like, "Oh no,"
Right?
Like they're pretty. They're like everyone's
They're
gonna
gullible.
know. Yeah.
I don't want Joe Elliott of Def Leppard to plaster my Facebook page with all my nudes. Oh no. What will my quilting bee think? What will all the girls in my coffee clatch think of me? Or the church? or the local constabulary. I got money. It's $1,000, about 30 past every hour. This is the last week for it, so Friday afternoon at 5:30, you'll get the last keyword from me, but until then, you got plenty of chances to win. So good luck. Money here from the Buzzard Bookie.
This is your chance to bet with the Buzzard Bookie and win $1,000 now. Enter this nationwide keyword at WMMS.com. Grand. That's grand. Enter it now at WMMS.com.
There's a dude out there in California who walked a tightrope between a couple of towers in downtown L.A. Beauty part of that is there's no one in downtown L.A., so you literally have to call the local news affiliates to get any information on one of these graffiti towers. Kids just climb these. They're just kind of skeletal parts of buildings that are either in the middle of being built or, they've... And so this dude, I always clinch when I watch these people that are doing tight ropes.
It's scary.
Holy Christ. I'll show it to you here.
So I'm between the two abandoned graffiti towers in downtown LA. And
it's all on video. As you
look
can
at that
see,
overhead
he calls himself
shot.
Reckless Ben. The 28-year-old posted this clip on his YouTube channel, pulling off this dangerous stunt. This happened earlier this month.
Wreckless Ben.
Why does he call himself that?
I don't know. I think it was a childhood nickname.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I would think you'd want something cooler if you're going to go by. When I was a kid, there was a guy who it was Dan the Spider-Man. Anybody remember Dan the Spider-Man?
No.
He was the guy that was like scaling the side of buildings. He was always getting in trouble, getting arrested.
These abandoned towers have become a popular spot for artists to create content and paint graffiti. Police are investigating Ben's behavior. He came back here to talk to us.
I mean, his friend is on the tower there shooting all this with a drone, I'm pretty sure. So it's like nausea-inducing to watch this kid on this.
It looks like there's some wind up there, so it's like dropping real
Yeah.
fast at times. It's kind of...
Why he did it, knowing he broke the law, again, taking another risk.
so the police are definitely after me, which is why it's very risky for me to be doing this interview. There's a police officer right there. If that police officer just turns his head and looks at me, I'm in jail. So it's like, I don't know. I gotta, but with great risk comes great rewards. It was very scary. I was looking down.
Oh, it's so stupid. I love these.
Because like when you get scared, you start to
dimwits.
shake, and then when you shake, the line shakes, then you fall off. And then I didn't want to fall, so you just have to calm your mind.
That's good. I'm glad he didn't want to fall.
Now, he also he has a guideline with him on the thing, too. So if he fell,
He's not going to die.
he's not, well, if that thing holds, But
Oh,
either
there's that-
way,
there's that
either
one-
way.
Remember the guy he did fall a couple years ago? He was climbing.
Yeah, the Asian kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just lost his grip and gone.
But he was trying to scale the building or something. He
Yeah.
wasn't doing like a tightrope thing,
Yeah,
but
still.
yeah.
I would do this.
Huh?
I would do this.
I'm sure you would.
I'm like
It's
an
so
adrenaline
ridiculous.
junkie, dude.
I
I
know.
like that.
It's so. If I fall, I'm on a tightrope. I mean,
You're not gonna die. Like you said, it'll be exciting. He's all tied up,
no, but I'm saying there are people who do this with no wire.
That
all.
is crazy. I couldn't do
Yes.
that. But if I knew I wasn't gonna die, I would do this.
You ever watch that documentary Man on Wire? It's probably
feel like I've
it's probably
seen
15
it.
years old by now, but it's about this French guy who walked the tightrope between the Twin Towers, between the World Trade Center towers. And you're just like, you're clenching the whole time because you figure you probably start doing this, practicing on a rope that's probably a few feet off the ground. I mean, at the very beginning of practicing this,
It's called slack something, isn't it?
probably.
No, this isn't slacklining.
But I'm saying that's probably how you practice, just between two trees in a park.
Yeah, I don't know how you start, but I mean,
slacklining is a wider flat rope and it's got some give to it. Like he was doing like a tightrope walk, like a acrobat.
Slacklining is a suspended length of flat webbing. Yeah. I see. Well, anyway, that wouldn't be easy either.
No.
I mean, that might be a little bit wider.
But I don't think it would work on a building like
between the Twin Towers.
Yeah, I don't think you want to do that.
Man, it's crazy. But I like this kid. He's like, if that cop turns
his
over
head.
here, yeah. I'm like, he's not going to know who you are.
Yeah, I don't think.
You're on the ground. They're not looking up at you, sending the chopper.
I think
up.
that's one where if they don't catch you in the act, they're like, "Beh."
Yeah. If this kid falls and gets splattered, I'll go get the shovel or something. But
they just don't want him to hit somebody else. That's
right.
The main thing.
Well, like I said, if you've ever been to downtown L.A., I mean, it's mostly
Not a lot of
homeless people
Yeah.
in tents. But other than that, that place doesn't get going until nighttime. Today has been designated End of the World Day. If people remember Harold Camping, I think we talked about him not long ago, just as an aside to something else. Harold Camping is one of these guys who, I think he's dead now, but he was constantly predicting the end of the world. He was running this thing called Family Christian Radio Network or something. And May 21st, 2011, 13 years ago, he said that today was the day that the world was going to end. And the rapture and the whole thing. And, it's always kind of, you have to check all the boxes. You got to go, the rapture, and then this, and then there's going to be the fire. And then we're going to, you can't just have one of them. They go, hey.
Fire and brimstone. You can't just have brimstone, and we have fires all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why it's getting harder these kinds of prognostications are going to get more and more difficult. Even people who are dim enough to believe this kind of stuff, it's going to get harder and harder to get those kinds of people on board because they're just going to look around the world as it is and go, I mean, it ain't going to be much longer anyway. But I love the notion that people have. I'm always curious when the first concept of the rapture was a thing, because it's probably old enough where people really weren't thinking about leaving behind a pile of clothes. But that's what you envision now is piles of clothes because these people are being, raptured without their clothes. I think that's the way that it works.
Naked rapture, yeah.
Naked rapture.
Mm-hmm. I remember that in 2011, it was a big deal. I called my older brother who was really, they're both religious. They were pretty new, born-again Christians. And I was freaking out where I was like, dude, if this is the end of the world, I'm going to hell. And I had a 2-hour conversation with my brother on the phone about my soul and where I wanted to be and how to become a Christian again. And 2011, I was working in bars and sleeping around and, just drinking and doing drugs and stuff. And I specifically remember all the hype around the rapture coming in 2011 and having that conversation with my brother and being so worried and genuinely distraught that the world was going to end and I was going to go to hell.
But it didn't sound like you were
what happened?
I did. We're in hell right now. Could you not tell?
Oh, I could tell.
That's exactly what this is.
Wait, so you weren't a super Jesus-y person at the time and you were literally worried about the rapture?
No. So I pretty much quit going to church maybe a year or two before that. So I was only out of it a couple years, because I went to church camp every year in summer until I was 18 years old and went to college.
And did they teach the rapture and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. That's all in there, yeah. But so I was only a couple years removed, and, I was still going to church every now and then and when I was feeling real guilty or whatever. And but I wasn't living my life right. I wasn't living for Christ.
So what did you do the next year because 2012 was that year that everybody thought that the Mayan calendar was going to kill all of us.
Maybe that was it. It was one of these two.
They come bing, bang, boom.
I was convinced that it was going to happen, and I was so worried and so legitimately it was taking up energy and time of my day. I was distracted by it.
How did you amend your behavior to prepare to be raptured?
I quit drinking and was trying to be a better person and, trying to do all the stuff you're supposed to do, trying to lie less. And
did you go on a bender when it didn't happen?
No, I think I kind of just fell back into it. It wasn't, I don't remember being oh, not yet, let's go. It was just kind of,
wow.
Oh, we didn't die? Okay, well, that's fine. Everything's fine. I can have one drink.
Oh, so they were wrong for
die.
the 4 millionth time about doomsday? Yeah. Okay, well, let's go get a drink. All right, I'm going to take a break here. I want to go see Third Eye Blind. They're headlining that Summer Gods tour. It gets them to Blossom. I was reading this morning, Blossom has got a record season this summer. Tons and tons of shows. Blossom and elsewhere. But Friday, July 5th is that Third Eye Blind show, and if you want to go see them, I will have tickets for you on the way back.
It's the Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS and everywhere you go.